My name is Aaron Snodderly. I am the Executive Director of the Tennessee Independent Baptists for Religious Liberty. The Declaration of Independence is one of the most well-known documents in American history, and it's already been referenced today, so I won't spend much time on it, but I'd like to remind us of the fact that it begins with the words, "when in the course of human events," and then it goes on to talk about the laws of nature and of nature's God. It's a document that declares its independence from every other entity in the world save God himself. It ends with the words, "a firm reliance on divine providence." Clearly, our founders were Christians who believed in God, and they reference that we have the laws of nature and of nature's God that we should recognize as to be that which we are governed by. They go on to say later, though, in just the second sentence, that we have certain unalienable rights, which among these are life, the first one they mentioned, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Now, to further back up what they felt concerning life, when they drafted the Constitution, they said in the preamble to it that the Constitution was brought forth to secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. If you read the definitions of the word posterity, you'll find that those definitions include such terms as offspring, children. Even some say that it means that which proceeds from a progenitor. Whether it's a life or not, if it's proceeded from a progenitor, it's possible that our founding fathers were saying, hey, we want to have a document that secures its right to life. All throughout the Constitution, they reemphasized this in the 9th Amendment and the 14th Amendment and other places, the importance and value our founders placed upon life. Going back to the Declaration of Independence, we read in just the third sentence, we read that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it. And that's why we're here today. Not to abolish our government, but to alter the precedent that was set almost 50 years ago. When Roe versus Wade was handed down, many people didn't fully understand what it means. But today we now look back and we can see hundreds of millions of babies who never did anything wrong, whose lives have been taken from them simply because a mother saw it as an inconvenience, perhaps. Roe versus Wade says many things, but in the third paragraph of point 8, we read that it says that the woman's right is not absolute, and that she is entitled to terminate her pregnancy at whatever time, in whatever way, and for whatever reason she alone chooses. But then they go on to say, with this, we disagree. In other words, a woman can't just decide to have an abortion whenever she wants to. They go on later to talk about the need for the state to value potential life. And if a heartbeat is not the representation of more than just potential life, but life itself, then what is it? In a day and age when people have heartbeats as their ringtones on their cell phones, surely we can recognize the importance of a heartbeat in the life of an innocent baby. The Roe versus Wade majority opinion continued to say that we need not resolve the difficult question of when life begins. When those trained in the respective disciplines of medicine, philosophy, and theology are unable to arrive at any consensus, the judiciary at this point in the development of man's knowledge is not in a position to speculate as to the answer. Well, that was 50 years ago. Times have progressed. We can now put more information on just a small microchip than could be combined on computers across the world at that time. We definitely have more information today to indicate that the presence of a heartbeat indicates the presence of life itself. Now, to my fellow conservatives who fear that this bill goes too far, let me say I didn't think that was possible. I didn't think it was possible to go too far when it comes to defending life. For those who say that they fear that this bill doesn't go far enough, let me say that I again find that not to be a reasonable excuse not to support this legislation. If your children were in a burning house and the fireman was getting ready to run in, would you seriously stop him and say, don't save any of them if you can't save all of them? No, you would support that fireman. Pull out everyone you can, even if you can't save every last one. And that's what this bill does. While we do support the Rule of Life Law Act and encourage each of you to do that, we also support this bill encouraging you to vote and protect the innocent lives of babies that have a heartbeat in their mother's womb. Last but not least, to my colleagues who are on the other side of the aisle, the more liberal side of the aisle, I believe you're at a crossroads. If this is a life, then that means you are supporting murder. That means you're not trying to plan your parenthood. You're supporting planning the murder of an innocent baby. If this is not a life, then what are you aborting? The word itself indicates we know what we're doing. If it's not a life, then what are you aborting? I'd like to conclude by thanking Governor Bill Lee for doing that which many mothers across our land are not doing these days, standing tall for those who can't stand up for themselves. And I'm proud to stand with them. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.